All right, welcome everyone. Ged, it is finally Ahsoka time.
How long have you and I talked about, thought about, wondered about A, if this day would come, B, what the premise of the story would be, C, who they would cast. I haven't been this excited to stream with you in a while because I know you have your lineup, but
Yeah,
I'm so pumped. I'm literally just gonna chuck
yeah,
stuff at you, I think.
and I've said this before. I'm one of the people with the flag permanently planted in the Rebels over Clone Wars camp. So the fact that we get this, which is just like we'll talk about it once you get the episode, but it really is a Rebels sequel through and through.
Yep.
Every
Which could be
scene,
good
I'm
or
like,
bad.
yeah, every scene I'm literally like that is literally ripped out of animation and now
Yeah.
it's live. Like it. Oh,
Yep.
all right. I
But
feel like I
there
could.
is
Yeah,
hold on, but though there is the
yeah,
potential then for this to be unjustly, I want to say almost panned because it's coming right from a series that isn't the most popular. Like when you think of Star Wars properties, like Rebels isn't necessarily the one. I don't want to say unless you're like a true fan because that's a crappy thing to say, but
mhm.
unless you've really swan dove into all the Star Wars properties, like you might not know this story.
Yeah. Like one of my best videos I've made, edit the Obi-Wan Kenobi one, and when Ezra comes on the screen, like there is so much hate for Ezra, and just there's so much people who just trash Rebels. They trash the animation style. They trash the toothpick lightsabers. They trash that Ezra is a whiny and they can't get into it and they gave up. And every time I
Versus the
respond,
non-whiny Anakin. Oh,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
cool,
and I
cool, cool,
respond
cool,
to all
cool,
those
cool.
comments. I'm like, hey, like I'm telling you right now, if you get like watch Rebels to the end, like there's a good chance it's on par with Clone Wars or better because the family story they tell and
Oh,
they
so
really
good.
get into like a different aspect of the Force too.
Oh yeah,
Because with all like the Loth walls and the Bendu and how everything comes together and the Purgle, it's just they explore such different areas than your
yep.
traditional. It's the Clone Wars. We got to fight.
Mm-hmm.
Loved it. So we finally get our series. It is a
Yeah,
two-part opening
yep.
premiere. Nice runtime to start.
Nice runtime. Hold on, hold on. Are
Okay.
you going to go into story? Because if so, I want to hit something first.
Yeah, I'm going to break down just some points as we go through it. But if you want to hit some first, go
All
for
right,
it.
I want to. Okay, first things first. Because you and I loved Rebels, I
Yeah.
want you to tell me what you thought of the casting choices. So
Okay.
before
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
touch the story, I don't know if you have this in there for your notes, but the first thing I thought of was I want to know your take on the casting. I want to know your take on the makeup. Like, how do you think they executed these characters?
Yeah. Chopper's 100% perfect.
Oh, right.
Like you couldn't have nailed Chopper any better.
Yep.
And like Chopper may have been potentially the easiest one as well.
Fair. Yep.
I think we've already seen Ahsoka for a while. I've already been conditioned to the way she looks and moves.
Yep.
And I think Rosario she's quite good for that role.
Mm-hmm.
And just so speaking on Rosario Dawson just a little bit, I liked how in this first episode, because Ahsoka was always like, if you've seen her, she does like, she could run really fast and she does all these big flips and stuff like that. And Rosario Dawson on screen doesn't really come off as fast. I was hoping they'd use some more camera tricks to make it seem like she's a little quicker.
Yep.
But I noticed there was some clever editing to make it look like she was doing some crazy force jumps at the beginning there. So
Oh, yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
they're
Absolutely.
like, yeah, so they're on top of that. So I like it. Sabine, I think they absolutely knocked it out the park.
I agree.
Sabine's a 10 out of 10 for me.
Absolutely agree. I thought the character, I thought the actress portrayal is fantastic. Even her attitude. I genuinely think
Yeah, she nailed it.
they nailed it. The one that really surprised me, and I forgot his name, is the droid, the keeper of all the sabers.
Oh,
I totally forgot that he was
Yang or
Hu
whatever
Yang,
it is. Yeah.
Oh, I thought they did such a good job with him.
Yeah. And David Tennant still voices it. So, like, again, the droids I feel are easy to nail, but you got to nail it.
Yep.
You and me had talked before. I had concerns over Hera. It wasn't necessarily the look, it was more so the voice acting performance behind it. From what I saw in the trailers, I said my mind could be changed. And then they released the clip of where she's talking Chopper in the ship, and it didn't change my mind at all. But after watching the full episode and having it all play out, I've definitely come around on Hera.
I'm on the fence.
Yeah, I don't.
And-
she's definitely the weakest of all the translations from animation to.
And here's why I'm still on the fence.
I'm good with it. Yeah,
Hera was the significant other of. Oh my god, why am I drawing a blank? Oh my god, the Jedi who dies in Rebels. Thank you, Kanan.
Yeah.
Like, I saw her towards the end of Rebels very much as that like motherly figure to Sabine Wren and a guide for Ahsoka. But it looks like Ahsoka's 20 years older than Hera. Like, Hera looks young. She's portrayed as young. I know they're trying to make her seem wise. I'm still
Ahsoka
on the fence, like
Hera.
For sure. But Hera had that like motherly way about her. So,
and
my jury's still out.
Yeah, I would say my initial complaint about why the voice and stuff didn't translate to me is almost what you're saying. Yeah, Vanessa Marshall, who voices Hera, had that really motherly, warm, the way she spoke and everything like that. It was very distinct, and I feel like Elizabeth Winstead doesn't really have that exact portrayal. Yeah, but as the episode went on, there was a few moments where I was like, it's in there. It's there. It's in there. When she stays behind on the hologram when Ahsoka leaves just to talk to Sabine herself, you could tell she kind of takes her general hat off. Yep. And puts back on, we were a family for X amount of years together and really kind of dig down. So I was happy to see that. I thought that worked for me. That helped me get on board with the Hera casting and portrayal. Yep. All right, so let's just jump through some quick beats, and then I got some big outstanding questions at the end. All right. Opening text. Did you like that we started with some text to kind of sum up where we are? Yeah. I think it's very Star Wars appropriate.
Star Wars appropriate, same as the opening scene.
Dave loves doing the red text. He did it for Clone Wars Season 7. He did it for this, and it looks good. It looks menacing almost. It does. It does. Like you're about to watch a serious episode.
And the music choice is also it was also well done.
Yep, I actually have written down here. So I believe it was Kevin Kiner, the guy who did Clone Wars and Rebels, scored this, and I could be wrong. Correct me in the chat if I'm not. But I thought he nailed the music and the score.
Yeah, musical score
was great. First thing that really noticed, we got this awesome opening scene on this Corellian frigate or Mon Calamari frigate or whatever that's transporting Morgan Elsbeth with the shuttle pulling up, and it just looked so good. Like they really nailed the look of the ships. Yeah. It's like it felt like I was watching a really high budget movie. Like I know there's a lot of money on these episodes, but
it's literally like I'm watching a new Star Wars movie. 100%. Yeah.
And there's a few scenes throughout it. This is, I don't know, kind of nerdy, but one thing I noticed is when they had the shots of the interior looking out the windows of the ships, they do it on the shuttle with Balin and Shin, and they also do it when Ahsoka's pulling into Home One. Just the amount of detail you could see outside the viewports as well.
Same as Hera when she jumps in to start chasing the transport.
It just looked very, very high end.
Yeah, it was really well done.
Yeah, and we see Home One, which is great. And all the ships, the uniforms, everything, the aesthetic to me was very, very much in line with Return of the Jedi. Just like, advanced 20 years cleaned up. But I thought the aesthetic fit well. Like even like the screens and everything they're using, like everything still very much looks like that universe. So I think it's Dave and the crew did a very good job getting the look of this to feel like it really is like a Return of the Jedi, post couple of years kind of sequel, right? Loved that. Let me see. Okay, that's a gripe. I'm going to skip that for now.
Hold on. Is the gripe the horrible decision made in the opening scene? No. I don't think they're Jedis. I'm going to call their bluff. I mean, that might be my only gripe of the actual show. Like,
I didn't have a problem with that. It was kind of reminiscent of the Phantom Menace.
Oh, I was going to say it was like a complete switcheroo from Return of Hope or whatever it was. It's like, I have these old passkeys I'm gonna use.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, all right, I get it. Yeah.
But you got to
A New
think though,
Hope.
like the only Jedi really that people might have known about is still at that time, like Luke Skywalker is like the big Jedi, and outside of that, to have two random Jedis, it's an old Jedi code to come to your ship. I can see why maybe someone might be skeptical, but
I don't know why they would let them on. Oh, you have really old Jedi codes? No thanks.
Yeah.
Eh?
I thought
through.
that I thought that too, but then you zoom forward to the scene when Hera Born's home one. She's like, "Oh, there's a shuttle coming in," and she transmits her code, coming in for landing, and then she gets led on. Right? I think that's just how Star Wars works. You have a code that passes, you typically, and plus a warship's probably not expecting a shuttle to be much of a threat, right?
Yeah, it's fair.
You're not expecting Sith. Well, I guess not Sith, Dark Jedi. I don't even know what they are yet. I'm assuming we'll find out.
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's get into one of my gripes.
All right,
so the whole point is they get on the ship to free Morgan Elsbeth, and Morgan Elsbeth, Ahsoka tortured, which we find out, which I thought was kind of neat. Got information out of her that there's a map out there that could lead them to Thrawn. And that's where my biggest gripe comes. Like, I hope it gets more flushed out, but I hated the whole map thing. Like, why did Luke Skywalker have a map to himself in the sequel trilogy? And now
Thrawn, I was wondering if you're going to bring that up.
Yeah, and Thrawn, who just disappears, just jumps to hyperspace. Now all of a sudden, there's a map that knows where he is.
But whoa, hold on.
I know, I know. I'm going to rewind it a little bit.
Luke Skywalker designed that in case and hid half of it with an R2. I don't think Thrawn created this map.
But why would why would Luke need a map? Like, just leave and go visit your sister. Now with Thrawn, I'll say the one little saving grace, and I'm assuming this will get fleshed out, is this isn't necessarily a map to Thrawn. It's a map to the galaxy where Thrawn might be.
Correct. Yeah. It's a map to jump to a distant galaxy.
Yeah. But again, how they know where Thrawn went and what galaxy he went to when space whales took him, it's not like they told anyone where they jumped Thrawn to.
I hate to say this, but I think you might have missed a point there.
What's that?
They found that map in an ancient temple of the ancestors from the witches of Dathomir. Like, I think it's an incorrect assumption that Thrawn or somebody within the Imperial, like, I think the idea of introducing the witches of Dathomir is to introduce an element of dark magic into it. I think that you need to separate the concept of the map being designed by somebody that we're going to come across. Because you're right, there's no way Thrawn is designing that map. But I think the fact they had to find it in this temple, it was buried. Then they had to go to literally like a secret burial ground to show the windows. Like, I think there's a lot more at play in terms of, I think back to, and we've talked about it a few times, some of my favorite pieces of Clone Wars, where they go back to the planet where the three elementals of the forest live. And I always forget it. I want to call it Mordor. Mortis, thank you. Yeah. Right. So, I mean, you're talking about ancient dark magic here. So I think you got to go past. Yeah. I think you got to go way past kind of people that are in this series to understand the map and what that meaning really is.
Well, I think what we're going to see is that Night Sister magic didn't originate in the Star Wars galaxy. They even mentioned ancient beings from the other galaxy came here, right? And built temples. So I think that's why Night Sister magic isn't the Force. It's completely different.
Correct.
So, yeah.
Which brings relevance back to that map.
Yeah. And again, that ancient map is, how they charted to their galaxy. But again, it doesn't, I feel like it has nothing to really do with Thrawn. It's just, I guess somehow they know Thrawn is in this faraway galaxy.
They think he might be. I'm going to assume based on the magic space whales is where
that's the thread we're missing, right? I know. And if you look to
how they got here, how the Dark Sisters could have gotten here was based on that same thing. Because if you look at the imagery, the imagery to that other galaxy. I don't know if you noticed it.
Yeah, this Purgle all around it.
The Purgle are all around it. So I think
Yeah.
that there's a lot of symbolism there that's how they got to this galaxy.
Yeah, maybe the Purgle are native to that galaxy and they just
You got
travel back and forth. Yeah. Again, I'm not a big lover of mysterious person disappears, but there's all of a sudden a map that can get us there.
Yeah.
But again, let's see how it plays out.
I think where they failed in the sequel movies, they'll make up for here. Sorry, we totally ignored that comment by that viewer. Yeah, I understand the map idea is unrealistic. However, if you think about where it may have originated from, it may make a ton more sense. And maybe this is a good ability for the Star Wars universe to kind of make good on that possibly weak map idea from the movies.
Yeah. So now that we're talking about the map and we're finally going to transverse to a whole other galaxy, we might as well jump right to kind of the ending of episode 2. So Morgan Elsbeth has commissioned, she's building a ship. I can't remember what it's called, but it's kind of reminiscent.
You want to call it the Eye of Sauron, but it's not it's the Eye of
Ice. Yeah. Anyways, it's kind of reminiscent of, in the Clone Wars when they have to use the little hyperspace rings to jump to hyperspace.
Yep.
It looks like a massive one of those, and they are putting hyperdrives from Star Destroyers on it. I'm assuming, well, I'm not assuming, I think it's obvious that they're building this ship in order to transverse between galaxies.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. So I guess the map must give them the proper plot path, because Star Wars has showed us many times before, right? There's hyperspace lanes and stuff like that. You just can't jump to light speed because you, as Han Solo says, you could crash into an asteroid and be vaporized in a million bits or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So they must have that properly. And even in The Rise of Skywalker, their little holocron Guy-Nerd Exicle.
Yeah.
So this must be their way in order to get there. I'm all for that. It kind of looks like, template. It does. It just looks like a giant hyperspace ring, which again is a nice little nod to the prequels.
Yep.
I don't know if it's a little bit of like Outbound Flight EU kind of bringing in, because that was all about, loading up a ship and leaving the galaxy. So that part's cool. But again, the one thing I think is, I don't know if it's a plot point, maybe we find out, is in The Mandalorian, it's clear that Thrawn is still commanding a faction of the Imperial Remnant. So if he's in a far off galaxy that they haven't found yet, and you need special stuff to get there, is he actually commanding, or is it just Admiral Palion commanding?
It's gotta be Palion,
and just hoping Thrawn shows up. And that's
it's just Palion.
That's why Moff Gideon even makes his power move, right? He's like, "Where's Thrawn? He's never here. He's never shows up." So I can't help but wonder that Thrawn's never showing up, and Palion's just standing in place for him.
Because there's no way he would stay in exile if he could jump back and forth. It was just Palion for sure.
Okay, so that that adds some more context to those Mando scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now we got that stuff out of the way. By the way, just on the whole of it, I'm excited for them to leave the galaxy. In EU, there's nothing but bad stuff outside the galaxy, right? Like the Vong, like there's so much stuff out there. So I'm very intrigued as to what they're going to see.
Is there a Tatooine in this other galaxy? Because 90% of all Star Wars has to happen on Tatooine. So
like, is it going to be fully populated with like great civilizations? Is it going to be more,
looking like the Witches of Dathomir
running down? We'll see. Definitely interesting.
My favorite nod in the whole show had to be the fact that it was on Corellia, which, as we all know, made the Millennium Falcon. And there's a scene where Ahsoka is watching Marok and who's the female apprentice? Shin. Yeah. And it literally scales across a mirror replica of the Millennium Falcon.
Oh, did it? I didn't.
It's right in the left-hand side. I'm like,
nice.
Well done. Literally, if you go back and you watch that scene, as Marok is running away and jumping on the ship, as it seems, I can literally see it in the left-hand side, just sitting there. I'm like, that is incredible. In fact, I mean, I don't know what happened to the Millennium Falcon right now. It literally might be the Millennium Falcon, but they're on Corellia.
You mean a YT-4000 Corellian transport? I believe is what it's called. Unmodified.
Yeah.
All right. I also wonder what happened to Ezra. And like, to me, the biggest hook for this entire series is Ezra and Thrawn really together.
Yeah.
And like they're really keeping, in the trailer they gave us, you see the back of Thrawn's head and he's on the bridge of Morgan Elsbeth's ship. So that ship goes to that galaxy and finds Thrawn. But there's been no indication on what's going on with Ezra.
Nothing.
So I'm really excited / anxious on what they're going to end up doing with Ezra. Is he going to be evil? Like, will he fall to the dark side? Will he be working for Thrawn? Will he be imprisoned by something else over there? Does he find another cause and he's doing his own thing? I guess we will, we just don't know. Just don't know what's going on with Ezra.
The mural, with the exact animation from the Rebels characters, I thought was a gorgeous nod as well. I love.
Did you like that Ryder was the leader or whatever of Lothal? And what's his name? Clancy Brown, like literally voices that character, and the Rebel characters literally looks like him. So that was such an easy thing to be like, hey, you want to just come back in live action and for us? I love that. So speaking of Lothal, looked awesome.
Yeah,
like I thought it looked
even that runway strip. I remember that, like that highway almost.
Yeah, identical to when Ezra was doing the escape on it when he stole.
I love the tower.
Yeah,
love the tower.
And I love the nice touches. You can see Ezra's helmets collection all stacked up in the corner.
Yep.
Just so many details in there. Sabine's just literally living his life. So let's talk about Sabine.
Okay.
So we find out that she is, I guess, a little force sensitive. And I know a lot of people, I think, were going to be kind of enraged if she was going to be full-on blown Jedi, just because she was around Kanan and Ezra for so long, and none of them mentioned anything about her having any ability. I think Kanan even has a line about her not having it. And I was glad that eventually in the episode, Huyang literally says, out of all the Jedi I've been, you have the least amount of ability.
Yeah.
So that to me just says, if you go back to Yoda's line, right? Like the force is in everyone, but I think it just, to what degree are you able to actually, wield it, so to speak?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So Sabine is probably very, very bottom of the totem pole, but Ahsoka's probably trying to, Sabine's maybe at like a 2%, and Ahsoka's trying to get her to 5 with training.
Yeah.
It's kind of what I'm doing in my brain. So I think that makes sense for the character.
Which is great. And you hit the nail on the head. Nobody needs another randomly, strongly force-sensitive person.
And we don't need another Mandalorian Jedi when they're setting up Grogu to do that, right?
Yeah. No, I like where they've positioned her. She's gritty. She's a grinder. She's a fighter. She's got a bit of force sensitivity. She can handle a lightsaber. It also breaks away from the whole Padawan doesn't have to be someone who's incredibly force sensitive. I love the precedence this sets.
So on to my second major gripe.
All right.
There's only really 2. This is my last one. Sabine loses her fight. Again, Shin is obviously more skilled, and Sabine hasn't trained obviously in a while. And you could tell she's toiling with her. And then when finally she needs to go, she quickly impales her. My first reaction was like shock, being like, oh shit, like I thought Sabine's gonna be a major character. And then it treaded very quickly to Obi-Wan Kenobi territory of where these characters are getting impaled and somehow surviving. My wife, who's a doctor, was sitting beside me, and I said, don't you think that lightsaber would have incinerated your insides? Like, I don't know. That's like, I know it's Star Wars cliche. I would have much rathered Shin lop off her arm or her hand or something like that than impale her. What say you?
I have something out of left field.
Okay.
I think because she was so much better, I think she wounded her on purpose. Look at where she poked her.
Yeah, she clearly missed.
No, or did she?
Well, sorry. So she clearly didn't get center. It was kind of
Brian. Who's the master?
Balin.
Yeah. looks like, says very clearly, he's like, it would really be a shame for Ahsoka Tano to die.
Yeah.
I don't think she meant to kill her. I think this guy, Balin, I think he sees, I'm very intrigued by this character because, yes, he is a dark Jedi or a mercenary for hire, but he's not a Sith. He's not there to kill everybody. I think that she purposely didn't kill her. Genuinely. Well, like, I think there's way more to this story. And yeah, I mean, the amount of respect he has for Ahsoka Tano and what she's about. Yeah, I think that I don't think she missed. I think that was the blow delivered purposely to slow her down.
Yeah, if that's the way it is, I'd be happier with that.
But yes, in theory, should have incinerated her insides. But let's get past that for a minute. The fact that she didn't lop her head off,
Reva survived 2 of them. The Grand Inquisitors survived another. Like the amount of people who've been like if you go back and watch the Clone Wars, how many people who got a lightsaber through the chest? Not one of them came back, and now all of a sudden,
but she didn't get it through the chest. She got it in the lower left. She got it in the lower left abdomen.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. And
but
then
she could have easily finished her off. I think she did it on purpose.
And you think, could we have just had her floating in a bacta tank instead of that weird thing on her? At least, I don't know. They gotta have bacta there. Anyways, that was, again, I was in love with that. I again, you have to portray Sabine losing that fight.
Yep.
But how do you portray it to give it enough,
Yeah, they could have cut off a leg.
Enough
giving her
gravity,
like the Anakin leg or something like that.
Yeah.
I like where they went with it. If that turns out to be the plot hole, or sorry, not the plot hole, but if that turns out to be a story, I think that goes from a gripe of yours to awesome.
And then just to go to your point, I do have some notes on Balin. I am also very intrigued with his character because, for one, he seems very concerned that the Jedi who's chasing or following is Ahsoka.
Yes.
What's up, Planet X?
Yeah.
He seems very concerned. It's Ahsoka, and I know we've seen in the trailers that he knows Anakin, so he probably has some knowledge of Ahsoka. And like you said, he's very hesitant when they said, kill Ahsoka. Like he really doesn't want to.
For her to die, he doesn't want to.
So I'm also then very intrigued. Like, what is his end? Like, what is he? For one,
he's a mercenary.
What's his end goal? Yeah, but like, how did he get the orangey red saber? You know what I mean? Like, how did?
Yeah,
I get he is a mercenary. I get that, but yeah, it's I don't know. It's just he's obviously training an apprentice. Is that apprentice a Jedi? Is it a non-Force user? Is it a Sith? Like, long story short, I'm just very, very intrigued about his character and where they go with it. And again, it's very sad that Ray Stevenson passed in real life, because whatever the portrayal we get, it's just going to be for this season, right?
Yeah. Ray Stevenson, he's the guy who plays
Balin.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because I saw that for our friend Ray.
Yeah. So you had that nice memorial at the end, which I thought was a nice touch. But yeah, him and Shin are both great additions for characters.
Big time.
Like really into what's going on with them.
The Inquisitor guy, Marok, interesting.
Yeah, I thought it was a good first fight with him. I think there's going to be some more mystery about what
or who he is.
Who he is. We'll see. And it's interesting that he's full on just working with Baylan and Shin. He's just like, Marok's on Corellia. He's handling that. So again, they're all working for Morgan Elsbeth, but very interesting what's going on. Again, we got more lightsaber action these 2 episodes than we have had in 5 years of Disney Star Wars.
And it's been good to see, because you needed a break from it. Like Andor was such a great series, obviously, like that. It was great to not have it there. You don't really see, other than one scene in Mandalorian, you really don't see a lot of it. Yeah,
man. You want to know what the hack for that thing is? Home Depot. It's landscaping, privacy fencing. They literally come in almost a Death Star pattern. You just put my scene. I don't know. It's like a frosted white plastic you get on Amazon and just put LEDs behind it. And then you could change colors. I know it's not changing now. Stupid thing. Yeah, so that part was all great. The other thing, what else I want to touch on here? All the choreography of all the fights I thought were all great.
Yeah, well done.
They're very good.
I like that the droids are formidable.
Yes.
The droids are so much more formidable now, the assassin droids.
I enjoyed,
as much as I love the Roger Rogers, I'm okay if they never come back ever again.
Yep. I enjoyed the little Darth Maul nod, kind of a Darth Maul nod from the Phantom Menace when the probe sneaks up and then goes off to like the, you know, he had there on Tatooine and came back to him on the cliff, and same thing, came back and reported to her. So again, it's you know, not that it's a nod to Darth Maul, but very similar imagery, so to speak. I guess the only other so two last thoughts from me. One, I found a lot of the comments. One of the negative things a lot of people said is, again, it's overwhelmingly positive. A lot of people thought it dragged a little bit and was a little slow. I didn't notice that at all.
No,
I was any I guess so-called slow part, I was just in love with. I just loved looking at Ezra's room and Lothal and
the mural
exactly. Just seeing all those characters in live action. I did not.
I'm actually,
I'm actually glad they spent that extra time with all those characters and locations and stuff like that. So I had no problem there. And then the other thing I kind of joked to Kelsey about, and then I've seen there's one negative comment I've seen on my channel about the Ahsoka show about this, and this is literally an entirely female cast, which I think is awesome. Think about it.
The fact that I had to think about it means it's
Hera
executed well.
Yeah, we know Mon Mothma's coming. Shin, Morgan Elsbeth. So far, the only male in the series is Balin. Really, from a big character standpoint.
I mean, there's the guy who runs Lothal, but he really isn't much of a character.
Yeah. So someone negatively commented like, "Oh, another Disney girl, all female team up or something like that." But I was like, man, like for one, you don't even really notice it. And secondly,
I didn't notice it.
All those characters are awesome, and all those characters, plot-wise, need to be there.
Well, that's just it. They didn't put anybody there that wasn't supposed to be there.
No,
and we saw what's his face at the end of Mandalorian. The big beast thing.
Zeb.
So I think you're going to see Zeb, great. Obviously, right? Looks amazing.
Zeb's going to be coming.
But no, I thought
we'll get
it was
Ezra
well placed.
and Thrawn. Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, I thought it was fantastic. I could, again, this is easily one of my favorite things I've watched.
Yeah, no, it was
Star
good.
Wars-wise. You want to review this?
All right. I'm going to go. We'll go two-parter. We'll go kind of both scores in one.
Yeah,
this to me was a solid 8.5. Like right out of the gates, 8.5. I love the casting. I love the story. I'm more intrigued about villains than I think I've ever been in a Star Wars property. Because it's not
only 8.5.
I'm only 8.5. And I'm only 8.5 because they didn't blow their wad. Remember, 8.5 to me is far beyond expectation.
I know.
So I mean, I had zero complaints about the episode. I thought it was an amazing, amazing start. I hate to say this, but if the Sabine Wren thing had been done properly, or they had injured her differently, thank you very much, Planet X. Like it might have gone a bit higher. I agree. It was like, okay, she had to lose, but I mean, we're drawing at straws. Like 8.5 for me. Anyone who hasn't watched this is a massively, massively high score. So,
yeah, I'm at probably.
You better not start with a 9 on opening series, or you and I might have to have a conversation.
I was gonna go 9.0, with my two gripes. The only reason it's not hard, it wasn't higher. But now that we've kind of talked,
what are you, a grade 8 French teacher? Just everyone gets high grades, 9 to start. Are you high?
No, I'm not even giving it a 9. I'm giving like a 9.2 after I talked through my Thrawn map fiasco. I'm more okay with the Thrawn map thing now, based on that it's not actually a map to Thrawn. It's a map to the other galaxy, and it's like we're gonna try to find him there.
9.2.
It was phenomenal. They nailed all the characters to look. They brought back Rebels in live action. We got
wasn't enough stress. There wasn't enough stress to have the 9s.
Sabine got a lightsaber through her guts.
Ugh.
They lost the map.
Ugh.
You suck.
You're getting soft.
No, I was excited. You know what the biggest
probably write Taylor Swift lyrics and birthday cards. Soft.
I was overhyped going into this, and normally that sets me up for disappointment, and I wasn't disappointed.
Yeah, it was extremely well done.
I enjoyed myself.
I'm just glad one of us is somewhere to climb to.
Oh, there's room. I don't think I've ever got above a 9.5 or 9.6 is probably the highest we've been.
It was 9.7 for that one episode of The Last of Us.
Yeah. All right, that will wrap it up for us. Yeah.
Next Wednesday. Or do you want to go Tuesday?
Tuesday night. Now that it's not doubles, we could probably do Tuesday nights.
I'm down with that.
Baseball.
All right. Yeah, let's do it.
Probably Tuesday night, right out immediately after you will see our next live review. Let us know in the comments, what did you guys grade this episode?
Yeah.
And let us know what you thought about our review. Peace out, everyone. We'll see you all next week.